Michael Jameson and Wonky Donkey Sound Studios is pleased to introduce our next guest, Pat Duffy. Welcome, Pat, to the show.
How's it going?
Good, good. So I wanted to ask you about the Gumdrop series guitar that you built, and just kind of tell me what processes have you done, and like, say, for instance, production, and what are you looking forward to with that specific guitar?
Well, it started out as an idea through the hub, tech hub over at Clarkson, and I just hit him up with the idea of passive sound processing, using things inside the body to make the sound, to get a bigger sound out of a smaller guitar is what I was trying to do, but just to be able to manipulate the sound. And then they started doing that, and then they were going to hook me up with a R&D company out of Potsdam and start designing a body and that, but that never came about. So, but they did do a provisional. We did a provisional patent on the design, and I built my own. So I just did my own design, and then every model I changed it a little bit to see it. Some of the stuff that I was looking for in the beginning, it didn't work. It kind of worked that way. As far as the projection, I got it to project pretty good. But there's different things I was trying to change. It had a unique sound. It has a unique sound. And then I just kept changing them. So I have, like, this is my last one. This is actually more like an electric, but this is all, this body here is all chambered inside and carved out a certain way to get the tone.
I see.
Okay, so, and then I put an amp circuit, and I've got a speaker so I could play it with or without an amp. But so all I did was
so that's kind of, that guitar there has kind of a
it's like a telly.
Yep.
And it's well, I can fire it up real quick. You can hear it anyhow. Even though I got a broken string, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
We can do something.
That's nice.
This is tuned to an open G.
Do you play a lot of slide guitar, Pat?
Well, since the virus, I started doing slide and playing piano when we were shut down. So so with open G tuning, these two strings are both G's, right? Mm. So like Keith Richards gets rid of this string and he just has a 5-string.
Yes.
Well, I took this string and I lowered it an octave, so it gives me a bass. So I got like a 1-string bass if I want. So that's something that I've been working on. But anyhow, that's how the Gumdrop kind of became this, and I have other acoustic versions I'm making too.
So this would be the prototype of...
Yeah, they're all prototypes. So I never really... I have sold a couple, but even they were prototypes. I haven't gone into production. I was just trying to figure out what would work better and how to use it.
Right.
And take on my different ideas.
Right.
So, but I have discovered a few things. I've found this is sound processing, and I put it together in this body. So...
all right, so
it's been a process, I guess, and I just ended up doing all the R&D.
Right. So
but I'd like to build these bodies and nail this down and produce these suckers.
Now, did you form that body with a template yourself, or did you have to purchase a body?
I made it. I cut it out of a. I have another telly at home. I just traced it and then I cut it out.
Okay.
And then I carved the inside out the way I wanted to get the sound.
Very interesting. Can you tell me, how did you first get interested in music, and what inspired you to become a musician?
My parents are both musical. My dad was in a lot of plays, so when I was really little, I got to go watch him do that. And then he always had some of the old big band stuff and classical music going, so I would listen to that.
Nice.
And then I started singing at some of their parties and things when I was real little. And then that I got older, I got kind of shy, I think, so I didn't do that anymore. But that's how I got started. And then I always liked music anyways. And then I got into the band in grade school, high school. And then after I left Augsburg, that's when I started playing guitar when I was 19. And I started writing and playing guitar, learning guitar and playing it.
Okay, I know that a lot of your followers and a lot of your fans, when you play out, you have this way of playing several instruments just as one person.
Right.
Explain to how that's possible.
Well, I use back in the early 2000s. I got Pro Tools. I started recording my band. I was with the band The Straps, and I started recording some of my original stuff and some of the covers we did. And then I started. Then I realized that all these I could start recording songs that maybe the band didn't do, but I wanted to learn.
Right.
So I started recording the rhythm tracks for all these bands, and then I got. So then all of a sudden I had this whole load of backing tracks that I could use. It's just the bass, drums, and rhythm guitar. Some of them didn't even have rhythm guitar.
Right.
And then, and plus I had my original, when I wanted to write an original song, I'd make the backing tracks for that too. And then one Friday, we had a gig with the band in Theresa, and everybody quit.
Really?
So I told the guy, I said, well, I have these backing tracks I can bring down on my computer, and I won't charge you with the band price. I'll give you a break and then see how it goes. If you like it, whatever.
Wow.
And then that's how I got started on the backing tracks, and then I kind of just kept doing it. And then so when I'm out, I'll use backing tracks or I'll play without them. I do both. Okay. And then now I've got a looper, so now I can add a loop.
So it kind of makes it easier.
So I can make a backing track live, like I can make a song right there.
And the control aspects of that, doing it live, it makes it easier to control.
I mean, it doesn't you can't. It's maybe easier in a sense that it's the same thing every time. You know what you're getting.
Right.
But you have to be on target or it won't sound good.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if it was easier, but it made it so I didn't need the band. So in that sense, it was easier. But it made it easier also to get certain gigs. Like not every place you can play at that might want to have a live entertainment would have big enough for a band, So I got to do some functions that were like on a boat or auctions or all these different things. It opened up a lot of different avenues other than just playing at clubs.
Now I understand that you played in a lot of areas. Were you at once in Florida? I think you were in Florida.
I was working in Florida a little bit too. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I was down in Florida for a few years working, and I played a few gigs down there. I never really caught on. Well, I have to go down there and just get in there and do it.
Right.
But there's so many good ones. There's a lot of good people down there, and they really don't like the people from out of state coming and trying to get in the loop. So you got to get in a group somehow or get in with some people.
I see.
But so it takes a little time. But I did play down there, and then I played all over the state, New York State.
Can you tell us about your creative process when writing and recording music? Like a general process, and how do you do that?
First, for the most part, now when I want to, whenever I practice, I either video or audio record myself.
Okay.
And then if I get an idea, I could turn that into a song possibly. So I try to record all that, and then if I get something that I want to, nail down, then now I use the looper a lot because it's got 5 tracks.
Right.
So I can assign it right, left, center, all the different. I can do all that processing right there on the looper, or I'll use my computer. But then I'll start nailing it down and use it on the digital audio workstation, and then start making copies.
Great.
And then I'll add the I'll do the rhythm section, then I'll add the vocals.
That's interesting. Every musician probably has a different way of the creative process when they're writing music. I find yours very interesting because the way you say is you record to get the ideas.
Yep.
Which is very interesting. I'm sure a lot of people would want to just know that and maybe try it out sometime. Who are some of the biggest musical influences, and how have they impacted your work?
Well, our early influence was the Beatles, probably. The first thing I remember.
Yeah.
"Wanna Hold Your Hand," and then like the British rock invasion guys, and then a lot of Clapton, Hendrix.
Very famous.
He wasn't British, but he was kind of part of the British invasion because he went over there to get famous.
Right.
And then he came back he brought the rock and roll back with him, and Cream, all those guys, the Steve Winwood, Traffic, Blind Faith, Stephen Stills, a lot of the old school guys. And then as it went on, I liked Leonard Skinner a lot. So back in the 70s, I was a big Skinner fan. And that's one of my first songs I learned were a lot of Skinner and Led Zeppelin. So I like Led Zeppelin. So when I first was learning, that's a lot of the stuff I was doing. And then I just would learn. And then as time goes on, new songs come out, I learn them.
Great.
Yeah.
What do you consider to be your biggest career achievements so far? And what are your future goals as a musician?
My biggest achievements, well, we had a show here in Ogdensburg a few years ago where we got some national bands to come in with some local acts.
I remember that.
I thought that was a pretty big achievement. After that, I took like all these songs that I said I've been writing over the years. I recorded them, and then I had my versions, and I took them. Then I talked to a producer in Nashville. And he said, "Come on, we'll do a couple songs and we'll make you a demo." So I wanted to make a nice demo.
Oh, great.
And so I went there. This was 2019, but I had all my songs already done, like already on an iPad. All they had to do was listen to them.
Oh, wow.
So we ended up doing, I paid for one day, and then I paid for 2 days in the studio. So I paid for 3 studio days. It's like 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And but he said, well, we got our first 2 songs done like within an hour. So he said, well, we got the rest of the day, so you got more music? And then we just kept doing them. So I ended up doing, I actually ended up making another trip too. So I made 4 trips, but I ended up doing like 15 songs recorded in Nashville. So and I've got a Grammy winner on 4 tracks, Al Perkins. He's pedal steel and a dobro player. Oh, wow. He's like one of the best dobro players in the world.
Wow.
And he played on there. And then Jim Riley was a producer, and he was in a band called the New Dillons. And they had some successful songs. But he's been writing in Nashville for the last 20 or 30 years.
Right.
So he was the producer, and then Eric Frisch was the engineer. But we just went to Eric's studio, and we were the rhythm section. I played rhythm, sang, and Eric played drums, and Jim played bass, and they laid out the songs. I gave them my music, and they made a Nashville chart, and we did up a bunch of songs. And then I went back, and then the next trip back, Al came in and sat, and he put music on 4 tracks, wow, 3 pedal steel and 1 lap steel, rocking, and he's really good. I mean, that really came out nice. So I guess those are 2 pretty good things, and just being able to keep doing it for so long. It's been, right. I just figured I've been doing this solo thing for 20 years now. So and I had the band before that, but it kind of caught up on me. That's a long time.
Yes.
To do it and still stay doing it. So.
Yes. So how do you prepare for these live performances? Like, what do you enjoy most about performing in front of an audience?
I like being there. I like it when the audience, they enjoy the music, It's right. Nice that the bigger the crowd, the better, but sometimes you don't have a big crowd. But if I can keep them there for a couple extra drinks, if it's at a restaurant or whatever, or what I'm doing, if I keep people around to enjoy it a little bit longer, that's what I love playing music, so by the time I'm done, I'm all wound up. I'm doing good when I get done with the show.
Right. And I also find it interesting that when you do things like that, the audience actually gets attached, and it's something they can remember for a very long time.
Yeah.
And even would go to return shows, return live performances.
Yeah.
Can you discuss any notable collaborations or projects? I think you just touched on
Yeah,
that.
with Al Perkins and
Al
Jim.
Perkins.
Those are the most notable.
Okay.
Other than that, I've played with everybody up here. I played with you and all kinds of different people.
Yeah. We have a lot of talented musicians.
Yeah,
up in
we
this
do.
Northern area.
And Tommy Douglas, when I first did my first recordings, Tommy Douglas collaborated. He sang on and played drums on a bunch of my songs, and he did really well. So that was pretty cool. And those are my recording. But but being able to play, and then my fourth trip to Nashville, it's a different song. Had a surf song, but Jim became friends with an old punk rock legend, Cheetah Chrome from the Dead Boys back in the early punk days in New York City. He lives in Nashville now. And out of the blue, I said, well, you think Cheetah would play on one of my songs? And he said, I'll ask him. And he did. He played on the surf tune. So he did a song I called Tanker Surfing. So that's another notable collaboration. He's like, there's not many of him left. Most of those guys are dead, like from the Sex Pistols. And
Right.
Well, I mean, Johnny Rotten's around, but the Ramones, and they were discovered by Joey Ramone. He's the one that got him a job at CBGB's.
I find it that those, they just seemed like really wild times.
Yeah.
So, how do you balance your artistic vision with commercial considerations when making music? Example, let's say you come into a contract, and like the music producers and the big wigs that try to control your artistic talent. Like, what are your views on that?
Well, like when I was there, I listened to the guys, but I had a way. They weren't so much, this is how we do it here,
Oh, okay.
They never gave me that attitude. But they did listen to it, and if they heard things in the song, they said, well, I think we should put a piano in there or something. And then, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'd say, that's a good idea. I like that. But that's how it was. So, and as far as working with these guys, however, they say when you get on like the main drag in Nashville, on the big high-end studios, they have a certain way how they want everything to go.
Okay.
And that was like one thing with Al. Al came in and he asked me how. He goes, well, I want you to sit right next to me because I want to do this song right, and I want you to tell me how to do it. And I said, well, I think you know. I'm not going to tell you much. And then, but Jim would explain to me later. He goes, yeah, but when he goes to the other studios, they tell him exactly,
right,
this is what we want. And he's not used to having the freedom like that. He wasn't, that's why he was checking with me. But I said, no, man, just be you. Be you, and it'll be awesome. And same with Cheetah. Cheetah said, what do you want me to do? I said, I want full Cheetah.
Full Cheetah.
Yeah, full Cheetah.
So,
but as far as the balance thing, I don't know. I get by one way or another. It's not. I don't have a plan that way, like a fiscal plan. Sometimes you got more gigs, you got more things coming in. But I also do woodworking and things on the side, so
right.
I always keep busy somehow.
Right. But I like that statement that you made. Just be you.
Yeah.
It's just it's a good way to even let yourself know if you're just being you out there, and even with your music, how you write it and everything. Just be you.
Yeah, that's why you asked the guy to play, because you wanted him to be there, not me. I don't want someone to be me. I like the way I play, but someone else needs to play the way they like to play.
Right. So how do you stay motivated and inspired to create new music, and what advice would you give the aspiring musicians out there?
I stay motivated because it's like the one thing I can do And no matter what, like if I'm having a good day, a bad day, I can always sit down, pick the guitar up, and play. And then when I'm doing that, I might as well either learn something or create something. You know what I mean? So, but it's just become that's a habit with me, and it's not. I don't have to get motivated. I mean, sometimes you get gigs and you get tired and oh fuck. Mm-hmm. But once you're there, it's like you're wound right up, you're ready to go.
Right.
But that's like any job. But that's and as far as what I say to new creators is get on it, because now you got more. Right now, there's a lot of. I mean, you have to do a little homework and you got to do a little side work on it. That's the one thing. There's a lot of side work, but with the social media the way it is, and YouTube and TikTok and all these other different avenues, you can get out there. And they do, and TVs and movies are syncing people's songs. So there's a lot of different ways to make money. You don't necessarily have to be out playing in the bars every night, anymore. Right. You can do it. You can do a lot from your own home. Plus, you can still go out and do that. But like right now, I'm looking into sync licensing and trying to do when I'm writing stuff.
Right.
I got it. I want to see if it's viable to make money with. Mm-hmm. Because you get a piece of your song, in a movie or TV show, and it plays over. You get residuals on that, and you didn't have to go and stay out till 2 a.m. and drive home.
And there's a lot of that happening, and a lot of artists who do voiceovers. Right. And right in their own home, their own studio.
Why not? You could do it right here. You got all the stuff.
Right.
And the guys at like Channel 7, they probably, used to have to go to the studio to do all that. Now you can do it right here at your computer. So I do a little bit of commercial. I'm dabbling in a lot of different things. I'm trying to find other income streams any way I can. I guess that's one advice I'd give them. But I would say don't quit. And if you write stuff, like for me, I write no matter what. So it doesn't matter if I don't have to like force myself to do it. I'm either going to write a song or a tune or lyrics or something or both.
Right.
It just happens. So it's and I think a lot of songwriters are like that. Stuff comes out, so you just get it out there and then make a decent copy of it and then get it to these people.
Right.
And see if you can go. And then I have songs I'll play out all the time. Like the songs in Nashville are different than a lot of the studio ones that I'm trying to get synced.
Okay.
They're more instrumentals and synthesizer music and shit. But promote your music and keep doing it, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Because you can if you got to find a job to get by, get a job to get by, but keep doing the music. It doesn't matter, as long as you want to keep doing it, because you'll meet people, and then I get online and I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, and I'm trying to network with anybody I can.
As many
you can. I mean, you can get words with some pretty influential people right now if you want. You could get them to listen, check out your stuff. So now it may not be like that for much longer. It used to be you had to go through the record company, but now it's like you got people, they're looking for sync tunes all the time just for their movies and TV shows and all these different networks out there. And they like people like us because we're not like it's easier to get an indie artist a little more reasonable than getting someone that's hugely famous to do a 20-second jingle for your show,
Right.
Because that's a lot of money. So they like working with independent people.
Yeah, just to kind of touch on all that also is when you when you play out and it becomes too much like it's work and not fun anymore.
Yeah.
That's when you should change some aspects of some of the
spice it up a little bit, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I found it like with me playing out, and we had like back-to-back shows or weekend shows back-to-back.
Yeah.
It became exhausting. And,
it wears you out.
And then it became not fun,
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the stresses that bands have and artists have is things like that. So
that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, last question is, can you talk about any current and upcoming projects or release that your fans can look forward to? Any shows? Any upcoming?
I don't have a lot of stuff booked for the summer. I have a Clayton concert series in August.
Okay.
August 3rd, Thursday night. I do that. Right now I'm trying. The songs that I did in Nashville, I had 5 of them mastered, and the rest of them they're on. But I'm going to get them mastered too. But I'm going to start releasing them, re-releasing them, the mastered ones. Every couple months, I'm going to release another song.
And we can find them on Spotify.
Yep.
Any streaming
on Spotify, on all the stream. I go through DistroKid.
That's great.
So,
great company.
So they're on there. Plus, I'll have videos on YouTube and on my webpage. My website is patduffy.rocks.
patduffy.rocks.
https://patduffy.rocks.
Okay.
And that you can find out stuff there. I also have a link page that takes you to my other sites. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn,
YouTube,
SoundCloud. I'm in a bunch of stuff. Stuff I don't even go to.
What is the YouTube channel again?
YouTube, I have a couple. It's Pat Duffy. You have to look on my link tree to get that. It's a big long. I can't give you the whole.
Basically, but if you were to go to YouTube and just type in Pat Duffy, you have a photo.
Yeah.
Sometimes
there's a couple. I got a couple of YouTube sites. One's kind of a nature music site, and the other one's my stuff like I play out.
Okay.
My original songs.
Okay.
And one's Patty's 7. It's called Patty's 7. So if you put Patty's 7, that'll get you to that one. And the other one is called Pat Duffy Music.
Okay.
So that should be able
to
get you to that. Otherwise, go on my website and you can get linked right to it.
And that again is https.
Yep. Colon forward slash patduffy.rocks.
Patduffy.rocks.
Yep.
Plural rocks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of .com, it's .rocks.
Okay. All right.
There's too many famous Pat Duffys. I couldn't get .com.
Well, I
could.
I want to definitely thank you very much for appearing on the podcast show. We have other musicians, and that I'm sure you know that will be being interviewed the rest of this month.
Cool.
So it'd be nice we get connected and enjoy the music.
Yeah, we'll get connected, and I'll share all your podcasts with everybody.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes.